I played this in the middle of like a club set and no one knew what to do. This is a really good question. I mean, Romy and I are obviously like great pals. We have played together a lot, we've made music together, we used to share a studio. She played me this track. It's by Commisera. I actually played it in a boiler room. It's called Let Me Show You. It goes, na, na, na. It's an absolute banger. First time I heard her play it was her, Fred again, and I did a back-to-back just before, on the day that Lights Out came out. And I was like, what is this track? And she's like, oh, it's like a classic. We met in a toilet queue. So we have mutual friends, like one of our mutual kind of really close friends is Stella Mozgawa from Warpaint. She's the drummer. And we've both been friends, like Stella's tried to get Romy and I to meet for years. And it's just like, Stella lives in like Joshua Tree. Romy and I were living in London, but it was just like, and then Stella had been in town and then she'd stayed at Romy's house and then mine. And then we went to this party, it was like a Gucci party or something. But yeah, we were both in the queue for the toilets. And Romy just turned around and she was like, oh my God, finally. And then we exchanged numbers and we went out for coffee the next week. And then we've just been like thick as thieves ever since. My favorite queer anthem, like by a country mile, it's by the Scat Brothers and it's called Walk the Night. It's like it was like a time in like 70s kind of like post-disco when it was kind of like getting like a little darker and there was this like really rebellious like queer sound, and Scat Brothers were like really like at the front of this sound, and this song is about like cruising, and it was like of its time, at the time it was like a super like, you know, like almost like a bit of a protest song and very rebellious and very like taking ownership of like, you know, queer culture. And yeah, so that would be, I've closed like many a party with that song actually. Maria, the Blessed Madonna, was playing at this party that we were playing together, and I was just like, what is this? And she's like, oh, I'm gonna show you all of these tunes. She's so like, she's such a good pal as well, so she's so like, she always just kind of wants you to discover the music that like maybe I just missed because I was in bands and stuff. So yeah, that song really changed a lot of stuff for me as well. For me, like a shoegaze record that is like quintessentially about my past, I think, is Just Like Honey by Jesus and Mary Chain. As a fucking cool story, I got to sing the female vocal with them at Primavera last year. I also didn't realise there was, until afterwards, that they have these cameras and they have these massive screens, and it was just my head like 3 stories tall. We're somewhere in London. We're sort of like dropping a lot of like Afrobeat and like high life music and like Turkish like psych tracks and that. And then but every now and then we would always put in these like little like, you know, we'd be like, oh, this is I'm just going to take a bit of a risk. And I don't know if anyone's seen the film Bambi, but there's a track in there called Little April Showers, and it's like one of my favorite songs of all time. It's like so beautiful. When the sky is cloudy, you come along with the song right away. Come with your beauty. But I played this in the middle of like a club set, and no one knew what to do. And I was just, you know, when you're just like, oh, come on. Like, I thought it was going to be like this really like epic psychedelic moment, and that people would just be like, oh my God, this is so clever. And everyone was just like, put the kick drum back in. I'll still try. I put it in I think I did a mix for Bicep years ago, and I put it in there because I was like, I'll show you, it's a good track. How that track came to be was like, I'd put up like a snippet of just a little like synthy part of while I was kind of working on it with some like some sort of vocals that I'd done, and I just put it up on my Instagram stories, and I kind of knew that he would really like it, to be honest. And then he just messaged me straight away, and he was like, what is this? I just can't stop thinking about this. And I was like, oh, it's something I'm working on. I was like, actually, I kind of feel like I wanted to ask a bit of advice from him. This was when he had just finished his album, most recent one, Music for Psychedelic Therapy. We would go to his house and listen to his album, and then like some of my album and stuff. But it would be like, you know, we would take, you know, either like mushrooms or sometimes like stuff or something like 2CB or something a little bit stronger, like something really psychedelic though, yeah. Even sometimes like some K or whatever. We would go to his house and we'd listen to some of my music, and then we'd go upstairs and into his living room and just sit and like until we started to feel like quite like high on like psychedelics. Alice, Jon and I had this like really deep trip together where we were all like in this same thing, because part of the album was like was recorded in a 6-hour meditation in an Ecuadorian cave, and I was like, this is going to sound quite cool, but I felt like I thought I was like a Ecuadorian termite. I thought I was a termite, and like we had this like ongoing joke because, you know, we were like so deep in this thing, and I was like, oh my God, like felt, because there was sounds that sounded kind of like termites when we were in that state in the album. And I just remember saying to him, I was like, how am I going to get back? I've got to play a show tomorrow. And it was so funny. So now we just call each other termites, because it's like when you reach those kind of like that, like that depth of being of like a psychedelic experience, but you're all like in it together. And it was very like, you know, there was points where it was like really emotional, and we all like hugged, and like it was something about it that was like really beautiful and cathartic.